And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
You think it's like defending England or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
Wow, that's the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
talk
seriously.
about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
What do you think of just how you all were able to pull in the second half, Caitlin, and
We're going to
particularly?
the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's
That's
go!
pretty exciting. Y'all want to talk about that? Let's talk about that.
What do you think? Again, in the second.
The WNBA is playing a dangerous game, and it might cost them everything. Its biggest star, Caitlin Clark, is reportedly reaching her limit. Whispers that she's planning to leave the league are growing louder by the day. This goes far beyond rookie hazing. Clark has faced physical attacks on the court that refs have allowed to slide. She's dealing with a league that seems to resent the very player who's put it on the map, and a media narrative that blames her instead of protecting her. Now, there's a shocking rumor that Clark is planning a bold exit, a move that could expose the league's deepest flaws. If she walks away, the WNBA could lose the spotlight she worked so hard to shine on it, and it may not recover.
NBA record. This is her second season. And you put the numbers together, that's like 10 seasons. That girl did it in 10 seasons. That means she had one a season. Caitlin Clark is... when Caitlin Clark gets to 10 seasons, she's going to have 100 of these. And y'all can't get a girl her roses. Now, I don't like the fact that she be getting woke because she don't want all these lesbians to be mad at it. At the end of the day, is the woman putting in the work, she's putting in the work.
To understand why Caitlin Clark might actually walk away from the WNBA, you first have to grasp just how massive her impact has been. The numbers don't just tell a story, they scream it. Before Clark, the WNBA struggled for attention, often overlooked and underwatched. But once she entered the league, everything changed. She became a one-woman economic engine. Games went from empty seats to sold-out arenas, not just in Indiana, but everywhere she played. Her presence alone was enough to force other teams to move their games to bigger NBA arenas just to handle the crowds. Clark didn't just boost interest, she transformed the league into must-see TV. That's why the idea of her leaving isn't just possible, it's a serious warning sign.
This is all going according to plan. This is ideal. Caitlin Clark is holding up her end by being awesome and by being a trash-talking jerk on the court. Love it. Her teammates are holding up their end by having her back. The other players in the league are holding up their end by not liking her. Perfect. Couldn't have written a better script. Caitlin is talking trash to this girl. This girl's hard fouling her. Her teammate Sophie Cunningham, who got a black belt in Taekwondo at the age of 6, she's like, I will F you guys up. All of it's great. And Caitlin's a killer. 10 out of 10.
When Caitlin Clark's jersey dropped, it instantly became the top-selling item, not just in the WNBA, but across all sports. At the same time, the league's TV ratings on major networks skyrocketed, jumping by triple digits, but the most telling sign of her value came when she was briefly out with an injury. The result? WNBA viewership dropped by a shocking 55%. Think about that. One player misses a game, and over half the league's entire audience vanishes. Clark isn't just a standout player, she is the market. She's driving ticket sales, boosting ratings, and helping pay the salaries of the very players who seem to resent her success.
Clark is driving the WNBA insane. It's to the point that she may need to step away from the WNBA, have a billionaire come in that has the money to prove a point, and say, Caitlin, I'll pay you $50 million just to see if the WNBA can make it without you. Let's go create a complete different league and expose the hell out of the WNBA just to embarrass this Angel Reese girl that Jameel Hill just said she could go down as a Michael Jordan of WNBA.
Despite all the money and attention Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA, her debut didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like a setup. From the start, it was clear that opposing teams had a common game plan. Push her to her physical limit and see if she'd crack. This wasn't just intense defense, it was constant, targeted aggression. Game after game, fans watched as Clark took elbows, hip checks, and hard fouls that often had little to do with the actual play. The most talked about moment came when Marina Mabrey delivered a full-body shove that sent Clark flying, completely away from the ball. It wasn't basketball. It was personal.
I will say this, when Caitlin Clark was out, they lost 55% of their viewership. So, basically, Caitlin Clark is paying all their salaries.
Pretty much.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can hate her as much as you want, but she's brought in millions of fucking dollars. So you should be kissing her ass.
And that kind of defeated the purpose of Angel Reese's argument of she's like, hey, it's not just Caitlin Clark that is bringing all the viewership to the WNBA. It's like, well, it definitely is. It's like it kind of proved that with the viewership rating being down, that she significantly increases viewership.
They tried so hard to compare her to Caitlin Clark. They tried.
People kept trying to compare others to Caitlin Clark, but the truth is, there's no real comparison. And that only seemed to make things worse. What frustrated her critics the most was how she handled it all. She didn't fight back. She didn't whine. She just got up, brushed it off, and kept playing. Instead of being seen as composure and professionalism, her calm attitude was twisted into arrogance. That only added fuel to the fire. The hits got harder, the targeting more obvious. The message from some on the court seemed loud and clear: you won't outshine us, and if we can't beat you with talent, we'll try to beat you up.
The Fever and Sun hold a brawl and a basketball game breaks out. This was something. Caitlin Clark, without question, gets raked across the face. I think she gets poked in the eye, but it's difficult to tell.
If you're the Indiana Fever, you cannot stand by and let that happen. They need to make it clear to the officials. If you're going to let this happen, then we're going to stand up for our player and make a mess of the game, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So you need to stand up for this. You need to do something about this.
You've just learned with definitive data and beyond question that Caitlin Clark controls more than half the audience for the entire WNBA.
The WNBA front office, the very people who should have been protecting their biggest asset, stayed almost completely silent. They seemed more eager to speak up about minor dress code issues than to address the ongoing, targeted attacks on Caitlin Clark, but the hits she took on the court were only half the story. The real concern was that those responsible for enforcing the rules, the referees, were missing in action. While Clark was being shoved, checked, and hit like a human piñata, the whistles stayed silent. Obvious fouls were brushed off or called common, sending a loud and clear message to the rest of the league: you can get away with it.
Of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but not like this. This news is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA.
The league's silence and lack of action sparked a powerful fan-led movement online: Protect Caitlin Clark. Frustrated viewers became digital detectives, replaying slow-motion clips, breaking down illegal screens, and begging, often in vain, for flagrant foul calls that never came. What this campaign uncovered was a troubling double standard at the heart of the WNBA. The league was happy to cash in on Clark's star power, her ticket sales, TV ratings, and jersey sales, but when it came to giving her the same basic protection as any other player, they looked the other way. It wasn't just poor leadership, it felt like quiet approval of the on-court targeting she faced.
I am sick and tired of the way they are treating my girl Caitlin Clark. I am here to propose a solution. I think they need an enforcer. You know, someone who comes off the bench to kind of lay the smack down on an opposing team member. I want to get the word out to the Indiana Fever that I am available. I'm ready to identify as whatever I need to in order to get the job. They need someone like me. Why? Because I'm not afraid of any 6 foot tall lesbian. I work out. Now, I have a couple of real good go-to moves in my bag of tricks.
Just when it seemed the situation couldn't get any more absurd, the media stepped in, and not to call out the dangerous behavior. Instead, they turned the blame on Caitlin Clark. Rather than addressing the rough play and escalating risks, some sports pundits pushed a bizarre narrative that Clark was asking for it. Why? Because she was confident. Because she talked trash. This argument is so off base, it's hard to know where to begin. We're talking about professional sports, where ego, competition, and mental toughness are part of the game. Legends like Larry Bird and Michael Jordan were masters of trash talk, using it to gain an edge. No one blamed them for the way they were defended, but with Clark, that same competitive spirit was twisted into justification for targeting her. And that's where the narrative completely falls apart.
Oh, it's this shit I don't like. A snitch, nigga, it's this shit I don't like.
You know, they get into it a bit here. Lexi Holdown gets it.
Oh, bitch, nigga.
Shoulders face, Caitlin Clark hits the deck.
Sneak, besides, that's shit I
Sheldon and Cunningham are getting
a snitch, nigga, that's the shit out.
Caitlin Clark with a few words with JC shot it.
The WNBA's message, whether intentional or not, came across loud and twisted. If you're a confident woman who performs at the highest level, then you deserve whatever backlash comes your way. When male athletes show swagger, it's celebrated. Their boldness becomes legendary, part of what makes them great. Their competitive fire is praised, replayed, and remembered. But when Caitlin Clark showed that same fire, confidence backed by performance, it wasn't respected. It was used as an excuse. Instead of being protected, she was punished.
Caitlin Clark has decided to quit the WNBA and move on and go play over in Europe. I do not blame her. I applaud it. I say do it. Get as far away from the WNBA as you can. Let that league sink. Okay? Do not help them, Caitlin. Get away. I believe you could create your own league. Okay? You could be the fucking player that creates whatever, the next professional women's basketball league. Let this one just go and let Caitlin try to build the next WNBA.
What unfolded in the WNBA felt like a strange, self-defeating crusade. Some veteran players believed Caitlin Clark hadn't earned it yet, even though she had already become the league's most famous and influential figure, bringing in more attention and revenue in a few months than some teams had managed in decades. The resentment was obvious. Players who had spent years grinding for recognition suddenly found themselves in the background of the Caitlin Clark show, and many didn't take it well. But the tension wasn't just coming from opposing teams. It seemed baked into the culture of the league itself. A group of veterans appeared more focused on humbling the newcomer than embracing the once-in-a-generation opportunity she brought with her. They were so caught up in who deserved to be the face of the league that they missed the bigger picture. Without Clark, the entire platform they fought to build was at serious risk. The much-talked-about rivalry with Angel Reese? That was just one symptom of a deeper problem.
I want to get your opinion because it's been a minute on this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark stuff that's been going on. Brittany Griner a couple of weeks ago in a video says trash effing white girl when she was playing Caitlin Clark. What's your just kind of 30,000 foot view of this?
There is not an organization more dedicated and committed to self-imploding than the WNBA. The WNBA was like handed the golden egg that is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And they have done everything to just self-destruct.
Yeah.
Whether it's these totally crazy, like, racial investigations that have been proven a hoax.
This brings us back to the shocking rumor. Caitlin Clark might actually leave the WNBA. At this point, the story shifts from one of unfair treatment to a bold act of retaliation. One option is the European escape. She could sign a lucrative contract overseas, where women's basketball players often receive better respect and protection. There, she'd be paid well and wouldn't have to deal with the drama and politics that plague the WNBA. But there's an even wilder possibility: the billionaire's gambit. Imagine a wealthy backer noticing the league's mistakes and offering Clark a staggering $50 million to sit out and prove that the WNBA can't survive without her. Or better yet, fund a brand new rival league with Clark as its star. This would be one of the most disruptive moves in sports history, a direct challenge exposing the WNBA's weaknesses and potentially building a whole new powerhouse on its ashes.
Did her thing. Coming off of the injury, she returned for the Fever, and I swear I am not being hyperbolic. We were immediately gifted one of the greatest halves we have ever seen in the WNBA. And I say that with all context involved. This series from Caitlin Clark, the pull-up three here, and you are about to see back-to-back-to-back triples for Caitlin Clark in this game. I am not trying to erase the things we have seen from Maya Moore, from Diana Taurasi, A'ja Wilson's 53-point game, Stewie, Cynthia Cooper. Like, we have seen incredible halves of basketball, but you see Caitlin Clark coming off of that made three from the Liberty. Pull up, of course. She's making it in that.